So here's a thought. What if the worst crime you could possibly commit wasn't murder, but just being different? What if society didn't judge you for what you did, but for your failure to feel the right emotions? That's the question at the very heart of Albert Camus' masterpiece, The Stranger. And today, we're going to dive right into the story of a man who is condemned for being an outsider in his own life.
I mean, this is how the book opens, not with some cry of grief, but with this confusion and detachment. Mama died today, or yesterday maybe? I don't know. It's one of the most famous opening lines in all of literature, right? And it just completely throws you off balance from page one.
So, right away, that line forces us to ask the big question that drives this entire story. Just who is this man, Mersal? What kind of person reacts to his own mother's death with that kind of indifference? This is the mystery we're going to try to unravel. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start at the very beginning with Meursault's immediate response, or lack of response, to his mother's death. Because this is really where society starts to judge him, way before he ever sees the inside of a courtroom.
And it's interesting. Let's start with just the language. See, he doesn't say mother, all formal. He says mama, that word a child uses. The translator actually points out that this shows a curious feeling. It's not cold, it's simple, direct. It's our first big clue that Meursault isn't emotionless, he just feels things differently.
So then we get to the vigil, and his behavior is just baffling, right? He says no to seeing his mother's body one last time. He's drinking coffee, smoking a cigarette with the caretaker. He's more focused on the fact that he's sleepy and that the crying from his mother's friends is kind of annoying him. He's completely living in the physical moment. The bright lights, the drowsiness, instead of feeling what everyone expects him to feel.
Okay, so this just keeps building. You see, this detachment, it's not just about his mom's death. It really bleeds into every single part of his life. It makes him a stranger not just to everyone around him, but maybe even to himself.
I mean, get this. The day after the funeral, he's out for a swim. He meets a woman, Marie, starts a little fling, and they go see a comedy. And the very next day, he gets tangled up with his sketchy neighbor Raymond and agrees to help him get revenge on a woman. There's no mourning period, none at all. It's just a seamless jump back into a life guided by whatever physical thing is right in front of him.
And this really shows you the massive gap between his world and ours. Where society expects tears, he's just tired. Where we'd expect a period of mourning, he's feeling physical desire for Marie. Instead of quiet reflection, he's helping a violent neighbor basically because he's bored. He's just not playing by the rules of emotion that the rest of us follow. His thing with Marie makes this crystal clear. So she asks him, the big question, do you love me? And his answer is just brutally honest. He says, it didn't mean anything but that I probably didn't. He even says he'll marry her if she wants to, not out of love, but because, hey, why not? It doesn't make a difference to him. He's living completely outside of those big stories, love, ambition, that pretty much define everyone else's life. So all of this detachment, this just living on the surface of things, it all leads to this one pivotal moment on a blazing hot beach. And what's wild is that it's not passion or hate that pulls the trigger, it's something much, much weirder. So he ends up back on the beach where his neighbor Raymond had gotten into a fight with a group of Arabs. He's not looking for trouble. Really, he's just trying to get out of the heat. But the sun, man, the sun is just relentless. It's this oppressive physical thing. As he says, the whole beach, throbbing in the sun, was pressing on my back. He comes across one of the Arabs, and the man pulls a knife. But for Meursault, the real attack isn't the knife. It's the sun glinting off the steel. He describes it as like a long, flashing blade cutting at my forehead. The sun and the knife, they become this one, single, blinding assault on his senses. And then he fires the gun, once. There's a pause, and then he fires 4 more times into the body, which is already motionless. The way he describes it himself, it's not even like murder. He says he shattered the harmony of the day. He says it was like knocking 4 quick times on the door of unhappiness. It's like he destroyed the balance of the physical world around him. Okay, so obviously Meursault gets arrested. You'd think, all right, here comes the murder trial. But what happens next? This is the absolute core of Camus' whole story. Meursault isn't really on trial for shooting a man. He's on trial for who he is. And that leads us right to the most crucial question of the whole book. What crime is actually being judged here? Is it the 5 bullets? Or is it something else entirely? Something that society finds way more monstrous? The crazy thing is, the court is barely even interested in the shooting. The prosecution builds its entire case on his character. They focus on the coffee he drank at his mother's vigil, the fact he started an affair the next day, and, this is the big one, his failure to cry at his mother's funeral. The actual act of violence on the beach, it becomes almost a footnote. So this massive clash, this gap between Mirzo's reality and what society expects, it all comes to a head when he's confronted by the examining magistrate, a guy who just cannot wrap his head around someone who doesn't play the game of life.
The magistrate, he's holding up a crucifix, he's begging Mersal to just believe in God, to repent. He's yelling, "Do you want my life to be meaningless?" He needs Mersal to buy into his worldview. But Mersal, with that same simple, maddening honesty, just replies that the magistrate's life didn't have anything to do with me. He completely rejects the entire system of meaning that this man's life depends on.
And for the magistrate? Well, that's the ultimate sin, isn't it? A man who refuses to believe, who refuses to feel the right way, who won't repent. He's not just a criminal, he's like an existential threat. And so the verdict comes down, not on the murder, but on Mursal's soul. I have never seen a soul as hardened as yours. And so, because he won't lie, because he refuses to perform the emotions that society demands of him, the judge gives him a new name. He's not just Meursault anymore. He is Monsieur Antichrist, a monster. Not because he killed someone, but because he just doesn't share our illusions.
And that leaves us with this final, really unsettling thought. Meursault is literally condemned to die because he won't lie. He insists on living his own truth, even if that truth is totally empty of the meanings we all just take for granted. So you have to ask yourself, what was his real crime? Was it pulling a trigger on a hot beach? Or was it just holding up a mirror to a society that demands every single one of us feel and grieve and love in exactly the same way?